That is why I say, in our administration, we will stop the rise in prices, stop the rise in taxes, and have prosperity without inflation.
What we need are not more people on welfare rolls, but more people on payrolls in the United States. I believe we should enlist private enterprise, which will produce progress, not promises, in solving the problems of America. America is in trouble today not because her people have failed, but because her leaders have failed. What America needs are leaders to match the greatness of her people.
Who is the one man who has the experience and the qualifications to lead America in these troubled, dangerous times? Nixon's the one.
Those were samples of the promises made by Richard Nixon when he was a candidate for president in 1968. You're about to see and hear how well he carried out those promises. This performance is by his invitation.
Then when I finish office, I would rather be measured by my deeds than all the fancy speeches I may have made. This moment,
An invitation repeated.
we can close the gap between promise and performance in American government.
And repeated.
There's one thing worse than breaking a promise, and that's to make a promise that you can't keep, and I don't intend to do that.
As everyone knows, there are two Richard Nixons. There's the hard-boiled politician out for votes.
We're not going to take any chances. In these next 2 weeks, we're going to pour it on. We're going to sock it to them all over the country.
And then there's the politician who takes the high road, telling the AFL-CIO convention of his deep concern for the working man.
I grew up in the Depression. I worked in a little grocery store. I'll never forget the looks on the faces of men who came into that store and couldn't pay the bills. But even more, I couldn't forget the looks of their kids who realized that their fathers were out of work and they didn't have the money to pay their bills. And so we want full employment. We want good jobs. We want high wages. I would rather be measured by my deeds than all the fancy speeches I may have made.
Deeds or fancy speeches?
The entire pipe mill is down. The wire mill is down. The stranding cable, the number 3 mill, the newest mill that they put in, is completely down this week. And between the 2 mills alone, it's about 600 employees involved being laid off.
They're laying him off. They're either going to lay him off or break him back, and man's got 3 kids, and I just feel sorry for him. But if they get him, then they might come in, and next time I might be laid off. You never know.
I've been on the beach here since February the 3rd, and I haven't passed up a job, and I've been unable to get one yet. And it's the first time that's happened in over 30 years that I've been in the union.
But Nixon's considering.
We are considering what actions can be taken which will not cause an unacceptable rise in unemployment.
I haven't had any people out of work here for some 2.5 years. I've got 500 people sitting on a bench today, and directly related to the economic policy in this country. Directly related to it.
Edward C. Hughes, Local 101, Baltimore. This will be my 15th week.
I'm not worried about the money, just as long as they put the men back on the jobs like it should be.
Like I said before, I only worked 21 days this year. I have rent and I got to eat, and what I'm going to do?
Like I say, I've only worked 114 days, and since this Nixon's been in there, that's pretty bad.
Maybe some people don't understand high-level economic policy. Here's how it works.
The other area in which we still have problems ahead is unemployment. Unemployment always hangs high in any kind of recovery or upturn. It is the last number, unemployment is the last number in a downturn to be reflected in going up, and it's the last number in an upturn to be reflected in going down.
Fancy speeches or deeds? Now here's the story on prices. Listen to the promise.
So what we are trying to do, without, shall we say, too much managing of the economy, we're going to have some fine-tuning of our fiscal and monetary affairs in order to control inflation.
That so-called fine-tuning turned out to be one of the most drastic axe jobs ever done on the economy. Here's Richard Nixon talking to the AFL-CIO convention.
We just completed the 90-day freeze. Now, I understand there's been some disagreement about whether that freeze worked. Well, let's look at the numbers. It was a remarkable success. Look at your morning papers. The consumer price index, a rise of 0.1%. That rise was the lowest in 4 years. And so it was worth doing. And if you don't think so, go home and ask your wives who go to the groceries. Go home and ask others.
Richard Nixon tried to make a big deal out of his appearance at the AFL-CIO convention. The facts came later. There wasn't a single boo, a single jeer, the slightest discourtesy. As AFL-CIO President George Meany said,
I have the impression the President did not come here to make a speech. He came here to contrive a situation under which he could claim that he had been unfairly treated. We respect the office, we respect the man that holds the office, and we're going to continue to do that.
Nixon said, go home and ask others. So we did.
In her grocery shopping, her and I was there just last Thursday, and everything we had picked up went up from the last 3 weeks has been going up. A penny here and a penny there. We have seen it in our weekly food bill.
We've got high prices and low wages, that's all I can say.
My rent has gone up $11 a month. I can't afford to buy the food that I want to buy in the stores. They're going up.
Things that we were paying cheaper for now is going up 3-4 cents, and you buy a loaf of bread and a quart of milk and you spent over $1 already.
Whenever we go to the market, I can tell by the amount of bags that she has approximately how much the grocery bill is going to be. I remember it used to be around $4.50 for every bag when we first got married. I remember when it went to $5. And now, whenever every bag she has, I can figure my grocery bill is going to be about $6 to $6.50. It's in that category.
More jobs, more income, more profits.
It's just us working people that have to do all the suffering to figure out how we're going to meet ends, whether we can go out and buy a head of lettuce for 69 cents or do without. I mean, I could go on for a whole hour, but I know I haven't got that time to spare.
Everything he had done against the working class of people and the small people. And not only the union people, the non-union people is being affected more so just as the union people.
Well, he affected the poor working people, and he let the businessmen get all the money.
The dollar you earn should be worth $1. The dollar you save should stay worth $1.
I see the face of a child. What his color is, what his ancestry is, doesn't matter. He is everything we have ever hoped to be and everything we dare to dream to be. This child must not have his dream become a living nightmare of poverty, neglect, and despair.
Well, if you want my honest opinion, I think it stinks.
I would think that's pretty loud there.
We don't want Nixon in 72.
In these next 2 weeks, we're going to pour it on. We're going to sock it to them all over the country.
I pledge to you, the wave of crime is not going to be the wave of the future in America.
Crimes of violence, murder, rape, robberies, aggravated assaults, burglaries, up more than 25% since Richard Nixon was elected president.
I would rather be measured by my deeds than all the fancy speeches I may have made.
He's coming up with all kind of pacts and arrangements that nobody knows the ins and outs of, and all this, in my opinion, is intended to take away the focus of the American people from what's happening here at home.
Look at the record. Unemployment, less than 3.5% when Nixon took office. In 1972, over 6%, up 100%. Areas of persistent unemployment, there were 538 of them in January 1969, over 868 in January 72, and going up. Prices, a 16% increase in 3 years and still going up. But wages, frozen. Crime, you heard the figures. Crimes of violence up 25% since Richard Nixon became president. Industrial production, farm prices, foreign policy, you name it. Promise and the performance march in opposite directions. The danger is, as President George Meany has said,
the man in the White House never says it's my fault. No politician ever says it's his fault. It demands a scapegoat. And we have no doubt as to who that scapegoat will be. And we can expect anti-strike edicts and injunction and all the other harassment that have been the lot of labor in the authoritarian countries in recent history. We must therefore stand united as never before.
I've worked 21 days this year.
It's good for the big corporations, but it's not any good for the working people.
I think he's all for business himself, big business. The hell with the working man. That's the way I look at it.
He can't do it like the rich kid. Have a ball, go out all night, and go to school during the day and then do his studying. My boy has to work part-time so he can get the education he wants.
So what do we do? What do you do? First of all, remember there's an election this fall. Nixon in 1968 was elected with less than half the vote because some people were fooled into throwing their votes away.
It was effective in '68. In fact, our campaign defeated Hubert Humphrey for president, so that was a significant result in 1968.
I thought perhaps a vote for Wallace would change things in the country, perhaps, but as it's been stated here and as the facts will relate, I did vote for Nixon, is what it amounted to in '68.
Real strong supporter of George Wallace in '68. The reverse this time.
I think that the press here today recognizes that in 1968 that our movement was very significant. And our movement played a great part in the campaign of '68. In fact, it determined the election of Mr. Nixon. In fact, I think all have agreed now that from the analysis in New Jersey, Wisconsin, Ohio, Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, California, that had our movement not have been involved, why, Mr. Humphrey would have been president.
Other people, nearly a third of them, didn't vote. What are you going to do? Here are some things you can do. You can register. You can get other people to register and to vote. You can contribute your $2 to COPE. You can get other people to contribute to COPE. You can get your local union COPE into high gear, working on registration, talking up the issues, collecting COPE contributions, getting ready for Election Day. You can be active in politics, volunteering your services to COPE, and through COPE to COPE-endorsed candidates. You, we, all of us have built our unions over the years, and we've learned over the years that if we don't protect our unions at the ballot box, the protection unions give us will be taken away. We know how to work in politics. We need to use that knowledge. Richard Nixon has asked us to judge him by his deeds, by his performance. Let him judge us the same way. Let him judge us by the way we build COPE, by the way we work in politics, by the way we vote on Election Day. America is a big country, a great country, great enough to give to all people, black, white, male, female, young, old, everybody, great enough to give all of us hope, opportunities, a chance to move ahead, to get going again. And that's what this year is all about.